In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to tune a guitar by ear. There are 7 ways I'm going to show you how to do it, and if we use all 7, I think it's better than using a tuner. I think you'll be more in tune, and it's great for your ear, and you can tune on the fly when you need it when you're actually playing. Let's do it. So obviously I detuned this guitar so it's nice and out of tune, so we can do this from scratch. Just know going into this that the guitar can never be perfectly in tune. Well, I suppose some guitars can in other types of tuning. I'm talking about standard tempered tuning, and this is where it's a type of tuning as opposed to just tuning, where you can actually be perfectly in a certain key or at least have intervals that are perfect with each other. In tempered tuning, it allows us to play in any key. This is not a lesson on that right now, but I'm more saying nothing in tempered tuning is perfectly in tune. So there's going to be a little bit of dissonance and rubbing between intervals on a, say, perfectly tuned piano, the way it's supposed to be tuned. You'll actually hear this. This is what tempered tuning is, so we can play in any key. Things are just a tiny bit out of tune. So sometimes if we get too obsessive on the guitar, it can drive us crazy that we might feel really in tune in one place and a tiny bit out in another place. So there's kind of a constant adjusting in some ways that we're going to have to be doing. So just saying that up front, we technically can't be perfectly in tune ever, but we are going to do the best we can. So the first thing you want to do is get yourself the A string note. Okay, this is the one time you're going to actually maybe use a tuner if you don't have another way to get this, but I have a handy I almost said pitchfork. It's not a pitchfork, it's a tuning fork. Pitchfork is pitching hay, a farm tool. Yeah, so tuning fork. Gonna hit it on my knee here, hit it on whatever, and then hold it up to, I'm holding it on the bridge, you can really hold it anywhere. Sympathetic vibration. Sounds a little louder there even. Nice and loud. Oh, I don't know why I've always done it on the bridge. Sounds louder there. So you hold it up against the guitar. The same way that we hear the guitar from the soundboard vibrating when the strings vibrate, we're just making the guitar vibrate with this pitch. This happens to be an A. We're going to get the A string. So get the A string. If you have a piano around, use it on that. If you want to just get like a pitch that you can even just Google, give me an A pitch, or give me A 440. That's 440 vibrations per second, 440 hertz. That's what this tuning fork is. Okay, so my A was pretty close. I thought it was going to be more out, but let's check it out. You set this pick down. Okay, so I'm holding this up to it and I'm plucking with my left hand here. Again, just use a tuner for this one note. If you want to just get that A note, that's fine, but I like to do this. Okay, what we're going to hear is some beating, what's called beating. That's the notes being not in tune with each other and kind of rubbing against each other. Wah, 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 wah. It's a wobble sound, right? With all of this tuning by ear, you want to get rid of the wobble. Okay, did you hear that? Whoa, 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 whoa. Slowed down and the wobble went away. Okay, so we want to get this one string. So sometimes the string itself will kind of be a little sharp and then kind of settle in. You'll see that on a tuner too when you use it, and I know it drives some people crazy, but you'll see it kind of pop up and then kind of go. You get it as close to the center as you can. So okay, so I got an A note from that. Now it's important to get one string, and I'm choosing A. A is a common note to tune to, but it's important to get one string and then have that as a reference. Now for the rest of the process, do not change the tuning of the A string unless you're going back to the source of getting the actual pitch. So we know that everything is going to be tuned to A. So it's nice to have one string we can rely on that we're not going to change. We say we got this pitch, we know we're going to tune everything else to it. If you're tuning, you could just tune to whatever the A string is, even if it's not perfect A pitch, that's fine. You can tune to yourself and be in tune with yourself. You can also tune to another instrument that's out of tune. So if you're going to play with a piano and the whole piano is a little flat, you tune to that perfectly fine. Still always use the A string for this method. So another reason for that is not just, again, that the A is the right pitch, but that we're tuning to that string because as much as we can, we want to reference back to that one string. And as you can imagine, and this first version of tuning that I'm going to show you is the most common, okay, where you actually hold the 5th fret note of the lowest string, and then it's supposed to be the pitch. In this case, it's not because I got to tune it, but it's supposed to be the pitch of the next open string. So I'm holding fret 5, and then the next open string is supposed to be the same pitch. So this is the most common way that tuning by ear is taught. We're going to have 6 other ways. So notice I moved the low string, not the A string. Now, I'll when I do the next one, and it's not perfect, yeah, I'm just showing you. That's actually pretty close. Now, this one, I will tune the D string because the A string, I don't want to change that one. So I changed the E string and I changed the D string around the A string. Now, if we continue to do that, then we're really referring to a common source. You can imagine if you do this tuning and you go up and you tune the 4th string to the 3rd string, or the 3rd string to the 4th string, then you tune the 2nd string to the 3rd string, then you tune the 1st string to the 2nd string. Well, if there's a tiny bit of drift each time, by the time you get to that 6th string, you could be very noticeably away from where you started down here. So this method is taught a lot, where you tune from this low note and then the next one to, each string to the string that's next to it, and it drifts and drifts and drifts just a tiny bit until it's actually very noticeable at the end. That's why we're going to have other methods as well. So we'll just call this one 5th fret method. It's not exactly 5th fret, but you have 5th fret of the 6th string to the open 5th string. I'll get it as close, pretty close. One reason I don't like this is you have to hold this and then reach over here. It kind of covers your ear if you're playing acoustic. If you're playing out of an amp, it can be fine. Okay, if you hear wobble, you want to get rid of that wobble. Let this be a part of your practicing too. If this is new, if this is hard, don't think of it as I'm tuning to practice. Like, this is practice. It's great ear training. You could spend a half hour on this and it's a good thing to be practicing. Okay. Tune that a little bit. Okay. Some of these rounds I might just get it pretty close because I'll show you all these other versions as well. Some people do this too. You could just go lift off, check again, lift off, check again. Sounds pretty good. Kind of a guess and check version. So you don't have to hold it or reach over, which is, I'll often do that. Okay, cool. So we're doing this 5th fret method. We're doing the thing that I was saying we don't want to ultimately do, where we drift and drift and drift, but this is one of the tuning ways. Okay, so it's called 5th fret method. I'm calling it that right now, but on the 3rd string, we want to go over to the 4th fret. So the 3rd string, 4th fret, pitch is supposed to be the same pitch as the open 2nd string. Okay, you can also get that pitch and try to match it from memory as well. Okay. Okay, and then back to the 5th fret for the last ones. You really hear that beating there. Right? Hear that vibration? Okay. Okay, I want to get rid of that. The beating might get worse before it gets better, depending on where the note is. Very subtle now. Okay, so pretty close. Let's check them all. Not terrible. Not perfect also, but that's okay, pretty close. So sometimes we can really spend some time on that, get it to sounding as best we can, and then play and still feel like, oh, I'm still out of tune. So we're gonna have other ways to check it, but that is version 1 or type 1 Okay, the second version I want to show you is to tune every string against the A string, like really specifically. So the first two that we did here are the same in this method here. I want to tune that a little flat. So we're tuning E string to the A string. Cool. We're tuning the D string to the A string. Cool. Now for the third string, we want to tune it to the A string. So here's where I want you to do it. Play the open A string and then fret the second fret on the third string. That's an octave up. That's an A. So we hear it a little out. Again, you can kind of guess and check. Or reach over. I don't like to reach over as much. Especially for this side of the neck. Of the head, I mean. A lot of guessing and checking. Getting closer. That's pretty good. Okay. Then the second string, I want you to play the second fret on the A string. Okay, that's B, and then open B is up here. This is B, the note on the second fret. Okay, sounds a little flat to me, so I'm going to tune that. Okay, better. Good. And then the top string. And you could find other ways to do this. You can find either E on the A string or play A on the E string. Okay, so I'm going to play this 7th fret on the A string. That's an E note, and the open E string is the top string. Tune that a little bit. Okay. Great, so let's review that. 5th fret to open A, 5th fret to open D, open A and 2nd fret on the 3rd string, that's an octave, 2nd fret and open string of the 2nd string, and then 7th fret is E and open E on the top. Okay, that is version 2. We're going to cycle through them all kind of at once at the end, and you'll see how that's the best way to do it. I'm just showing you all the versions to start with. Let's do number 3. Okay, the third version is with harmonics, and a lot of people use this quite a bit because you can actually be hands-off with it. So you can play a harmonic. This is creating an overtone with the vibration of the string by lightly touching. Really be light. Don't push down at all. You're going to lightly touch just above the 5th fret, the actual metal on the fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just lightly touch above that. And if you pluck over here where it's more, you're going to get more of a treble sound. That helps too. If you're on an electric guitar, then turn on that treble pickup or that bridge pickup. It's going to be a brighter sound that really rings out. So this alone might be hard if you've never done this, but a great thing to work on. Okay, so it gets this harmonic. That note has always existed in this. It's up there in the pitch. We're kind of extracting it out. It's actually preventing the string from vibrating right at that spot. And it's vibrating as if the string was only this length. So that's another separate topic to talk about altogether. But work on creating that sound. Okay, the same exact harmonic pitch is on the 7th fret harmonic of the next string. 6th string, 5th fret harmonic, 5th string, 7th fret harmonic. Sounded exactly the same. So, very powerful. This is really useful. You want to try to get them to ring at the same time. Again, if this is hard to do, practice it as you're practicing. This is what you are practicing. Again, instead of try not to think that you're just trying to figure out how to tune so you can start practicing. If this is hard, it's something to practice, and that's nice to think of it that way so it doesn't feel like you're wasting time or it's getting frustrating. Okay, don't change the A string. You can hear a little bit of beating there. Nice. I'm resisting the temptation to check in other places because we're going to do that soon, where we actually check in a bunch of places as we go. Okay, same exact thing on the next two strings. 5th fret harmonic on the A string, 7th fret harmonic on the 4th string. I'm doing a rest stroke over here. Doesn't matter if you're using your thumb. Thumb is kind of nice, actually. Rest, rest. It's just a way to not get in the way of the previous string you just played for this particular tuning style. Okay, rest stroke, rest stroke. You see what I'm doing there with the thumb? Rest, rest. Or with the pick, rest, rest. Okay, that sounds decent. We're listening for, is there a wobble? Is there a beating? Okay, we're going to tune mostly to A, but this next one I want you to do harmonics, the same thing. 4th string, 3rd string. Also, between those two strings. We got away from using A, but that's okay. It's still a spot to check. Hear the beating? Hear that wobble? We want to get rid of that. If you can't hear if it's up or, sharp or flat, fine. Just twist it. It'll go more in or out of tune, and you'll get it from there. Sounds pretty pure. Okay, good. The next harmonic I want you to do is 7th fret on the A string. And then that is an E note. That's exactly this open high E, which we're going to get to, but just play the 5th fret of the 2nd string. Super out sounding now. So good thing we're checking it. Okay, very flat. 7th fret harmonic on the A string. I changed it a little, got it in tune. Nice. There it is. Cool. Same harmonic. Open E. Little flat. Okay. Pretty good. That's how we use harmonics for each string. All right, this 4th method, I love this one. Okay, we're getting out of matching pitches to the same pitch or an octave apart. So you're not actually, we don't always need to find the same note to match to. We can also try to tune with perfect 4ths and perfect 5ths because they have a consonance to them that is stable sounding. And we can listen for that same kind of rub or beating, that wobble sound, and get rid of it in the same way. So this 4th method is with open strings only. This is free from the left hand, and we're just going to find places to use the open strings to compare to each other. So this first one is going to be a perfect 4th between the 6th string and the 5th string, okay? So if you strum it quick, that's fine. Or actually, just play them separate. Sometimes I'll do, plucking in whatever way. Okay, so we're listening for this. I might mute these other strings so they don't accidentally ruin. That sounds pretty good. Now, if it was out, you'd really hear it, so. Hear the wobble? Love this because I'm just hands-free. I use this a lot. Great for the ears because you're listening for, is that 4th in tune, the interval of the 4th. This is just one of all the combos to use. Cool. The next two strings are a 4th too. Okay. I hear it a little out, but we've been tuning with the other methods, so things aren't going to be too out. Okay. To practice this, just crank. Remember, I didn't do the A string, went to the D string. But to practice this, just crank it out and practice getting it into that note. It's great. Great for the ears. Sometimes learning how to hear that wobble, that beating, is something we have to get used to. It's there when it's out of tune. And sometimes we don't hear it because we're just not used to listening for that. once you get used to it, it's kind of in there somewhere, and you listen for it, and you're like, oh yeah, there it is, and it can become very clear. And then when it's clear, it's easy to just do what you need to do to get rid of it. Okay, next two strings, same thing. I know we said as much as we can to the A string, but this third and fourth string, we're just going to do the fourth again. That sounds good. I don't need to keep undoing things and showing you, but that needs to sound consonant, okay? The open second string is actually a fifth and an octave away from the low E string, okay? I use this a lot. Mainly because it can be this second string on this guitar, and often gives me more trouble than others. So you get it to sound like a fifth. Out of tune, you'll really hear it. Okay, this is E, this is B. That's a fifth away. B is the fifth of E, but it's also an octave in between. So because of that octave and because of the timbre difference, with this being a wound string and this not, just the distance in the timbre can make it a little harder, but you do your best to make it sound consonant. Okay, last one, we can use the A string again now, and we are going to use open A and the open E. That's also a fifth. So E is the fifth of A, open E. That sounds pretty good. Okay. Once you have that top E, you can also check the open top two strings. Cool. And then if you want to check the open E and open E, that's another thing. Once you got that open E up here, it's like tiny, tiny little wobble. There we go. So I'm already kind of doing this thing where I'm kind of rotating through. Check it here, check it here, check it here. And we find, when we keep rotating through these multiple ways of checking the same note, that's when we know we're ready to really play in tune. Okay, method 5 is playing octaves in the first position with open strings, okay? So we're gonna play open E and then the octave above it. So I hear that being pretty funky. Okay, let me check that D. Since I'm not tuning it to these two are not the A string, I need to have a reliable one that I'm tuning to. So watch as I kind of check with the other methods. We haven't got to this one yet. Okay, so when I feel good about that D string, now I'll go back to this. And I'll tune that E a little bit. Okay, now because I changed the E, I might want to see, is the E and A still in tune? I'm starting to do the rotation thing. I feel good. I feel good about that. Okay, so I feel good about those three. The next would be open A and third string A. We did that before. This tuner on my third string is a little funky. Change that. Sounds good with the D. Sounds good with the D. Okay. Octave from string 4 to 2. Open D, 3rd fret string 2. I feel good about that. Open G, 3rd 3rd string to octave above, 3rd fret on the top string. Little wobble. The reason I'll play the open string is so I can hear how much shift is happening, like that. Pretty good. Octave. Okay. 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 Checked all those. That's that method. That was number 5. Number 6 is going to be similar, but with the interval of fifths. Open E. I use this a lot. And again, if you do enough of these, you'll get used to what you just need to go to check something. You saw how it's rotating around. I'm going to show you that again in a second. But this is a fifth above, so open E, and then 2nd fret of string 5. Sounds good. The interval of a fifth should sound really solid. It's very consonant. The reason it's consonant is because there's a harmonic in the fundamental pitch that is also a fifth, so it's not rubbing against, it's kind of harmonizing with that. It's not too dissonant. So I love this between doing the open 4th and then the 5th, back and forth. And you might ask, if you just got it in tune with that other method, why are you changing it again with this other one? Well, that is the entire point, because if you only use one and you feel good about, oh, all the octaves sounded good, and then you go play a chord and it's like, why does that sound funky? We need to find really the happy medium between all of them. There occasionally might be a compromise that you have to live with that in one spot is a little weird. Depends on the guitar setup too, and if it's really not working out as you keep rotating through all of them, you might have an intonation problem on the guitar that could get corrected by getting it set up. But I'm constantly adjusting these. That sounds good. Cool. So there's right away I heard a little something, but actually that sounds fine to me. So that's a good example. I tuned the octave before, and now I changed it because the 5th here didn't quite sound like what I wanted it to. But I changed it in a way where when I go back to the octave, it sounds fine. So there's room, there's wiggle room. Yeah. That 3rd string. It's funky. Okay. Good. 5th, 5th, 5th. It's the interval of 5th. 1, 5, 1, 5. If I played a scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's how many steps away it is. That's why it's the 5th. A little funky. The 5th for 3rd and 2nd string, open 3rd string, 3rd fret on the 2nd string. And then the 5th for a little funky. Okay, 5th, 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 5th. All right, that's that method. That was number 6. Here's the 7th one. Here's the last one. And it's almost the same thing. We did the octaves and we did the 5th. This is both combined. So this is like a power chord, 1, 5, 1. So root note, if you want to think of it that way, the 5th above it, and then the same note an octave above. Okay, so that sounds really good. Because I did all those 5ths, this should be okay. 1, 5, 1. I very often will check with this chord. 1, 5, 1. Okay. Those sound good. That's the 7th way. These are not in any particular order, that this isn't like the common order that it's taught in. I just use these all the time, and I listed out the 7 and I put them in this order. And really, when you're using it, once you get used to using each one, you're just going to jump around between them. So here's how that would look if I was testing out just between these 2 strings. Okay, I'm going out of tune here. I might play the open 4th, try to get it. Again, kind of fun to try to hear that. Okay, get it decently close, whatever you think. Test it here in this first version. Test it here with the fifth. Test it with the harmonics. They all sound good, so that's a great way to kind of rotate through and test it. Next two strings. Sounds good. Test it with the fifth, sounds good. Test it with the harmonics. Tiny wobble, but that can be okay because I might fix it, but it's a little bit, it's quite normal for it to, again, not be perfect in every spot. I mean, technically when you're pushing down a note, you're making it sharp a little bit because you're stretching the string just a tiny bit. And I'm no expert on the, the physics of it, but I just do this a lot with tuning by ear, so. Okay, so now I'm just rotating through and doing all that. You see the point, okay? You see how it works. When you do this enough, this is how you'll get comfortable with while you're playing or in between playing. You'll quickly like, oh, let me check this. You'll get good at this. If this is something that's desirable for you, obviously, if you're watching this right now, and I've already talked so much, so if you're watching up to this point, you obviously want to know how to do this. I think it's really worth it. It's really worth taking the time to do this because we're so used to just throwing a tuner on and using that. I certainly think that's fine. I'll use tuners too, but this is just to enhance our musicianship skills, our resources. So we want to be able to quickly adapt our tuning if something feels funky. Okay, so I'm going to finish this off here in the way that I would do it. I got that out, I tuned that out of whack. It sounded so in a little bit ago, now I gotta check everything again. Okay. Okay. Octave, or the power chord thing, 5th fret. Pretty okay. That was a little weird. 4th, 5th, 4th, 5th. Maybe I'll do it from the open A. This tuner is, I'm just noticing it now, there's something weird about it. On the 3rd string. There we go. Check the power chord. Nice. Feeling good. String. There's a harmonic to the 5th fret. Open D octave. Power chord. Open E. That's again the one that kind of can give me some trouble. I feel good about that. Harmonic 7th fret, open E. Great. That low E. There we go. There we go. There's harmonics. Okay, now, I know that's quite a process, but I usually am just doing what I was just doing at the end there for a bit to get it. So, nice. Sounds in tune. I feel good about it. And I said at the beginning, I think sometimes I'll tune with a tuner and it will still sound a little funky and I have to tweak it. I've seen guitar players do that too and kind of comment on it. And so, and adjusting multiple times while you're practicing is totally normal. It's that old dumb joke that guitarists spend half their time tuning and the other half playing out of tune. It's kind of true though because of how it can't be perfectly in tune. So, Feeling good? I heard it out a little bit again. Again, when there's not just perfect fourths and fifths, when there's thirds involved, that third is a tiny bit not perfect. It's not perfectly in tune. So when you spend a lot of time tuning, you might even start noticing that. And I compensated by doing this kind of pull on the neck to make it kind of do a little bit of a vibrato on purpose. So I know I blabbed quite a bit, but I really wanted to just sit here and really walk you through step by step the process. Of course, let me know if you have any questions, but that is the way that I tune by ear, and I find it very valuable to work on that. It kind of tunes up my ear a little bit too to do that. Sometimes if I just tune with a tuner for a while, I notice the difference in kind of getting rusty at being able to hear those nuances and get tuned up with the guitar. So again, if you really can't get it in tune, and even with a tuner, you might have intonation issues with the guitar, which just means that it can't really get in tune with itself. You can get a note in tune somewhere and then it's out somewhere else, noticeably so. If so, you might need to get a guitar setup, which is making some adjustments to get the intonation back in order. Just telling you that because I don't want you to go totally crazy thinking that you can't get that process down. If you can get each one to a point where you feel like it's in tune, case by case, each time you tune with one of those different methods, your ear is fine, you're doing the process. The hard part is finding that happy middle ground where it really works. You cycle through all of those and it actually feels good with each one. That's it. Question for you. Is there a way you tune by ear that I didn't mention here? I'm not saying this is all the ways. These are just the ways that I use, and I wanted to walk you through each of them and show you how I do it. So is there a way you tune by ear that I didn't mention that is helpful for you? Were there any of these that were surprising that you didn't know about? How's it going? If you're working on this, are you feeling like you're able to do it, or does it feel really hard? Let me know. Anytime. I'd love to hear from you. All right, I hope to see you in another lesson soon, and happy practicing.